Hi, I'm David Branch, and I want to welcome you back to the fourth video in this series. Now, in the first video, we talked about you, the leader, and how everything in your business rises and falls based upon you and your perspective. Now, in the second video, we talked about your team and how your team is your lifeline, because without them, you're doing everything. And in the third video, we talked about your product and how without a product, you have no sale. Without a sale, you have no money to support the freedom to give you what you want in life. And today we're going to talk about the fourth major component for you to have a successful business: profits, money. So we're going to talk about the three components of profitability. Basically, we're going to talk about the way for you to make more money. Simply that. So while you're in business, you want to earn more money to support the freedom that you need to pursue your dreams, discover your mission, and live it out fully every day. That's what it's all about. Always go back to this. That's why we need extreme profits, not good profits. Good profits get you good. You need extreme profits, awesome profits. You need to make a ton of money doing what you're doing because you need it to fund a better, bigger life. I know that excites you, excites me, so let's get busy with this thing. So what is it? We always start with perspective. Simply how you see things, your point of view. Now, when I first started, it was me and then I added a couple guys. And actually I made pretty good money. At least I thought so at the time. I mean, I was young and I'd never really made much. So to me, I was making really good money. But basically, whatever I made on a job is the money I made. My overhead was very low. And then as we grew, as I added people, as I added employees, my profits started going down. So I had to increase sales. But the more I increased my sales, the more I increased people. And my bottom line didn't increase any. My headaches increased tremendously. My stress level just went out of the roof. And so my answer to that was add more sales. If I need more money, obviously I need more sales, right? So first thing we think of is if we want higher profits, we've got to increase our sales. When I added revenue, I added millions of dollars of revenue. Didn't add anything to my bottom line. Now, how can that be? How can I make more money with just me and a couple guys than I can with, 25 guys? Well, obviously, I wasn't running efficient. Brings us to our second thing. COGS, cost of goods sold. We bring in the job, we get paid for the work we do, and then we subtract out cost of goods sold, which basically are just your material and your labor. That's it. Your material and the sweat that it takes to make this thing happen. If you're a baker, maybe it's the flour and the eggs and the person that sits there and puts the bread together. That's it. Cost of goods sold. So if you want to, the end goal is to hang on to as much of this as possible, right? So first thing we have to do is start with our cost of goods sold. How can we reduce it? Material. How do we reduce it? Well, obviously we just use less, waste less, find better prices. Simple as that, right? And the other side of the cost of goods is the labor. So how do we do it? We got to get the job done quicker. We got to get the job done more efficiently. That's about it. Or we got to save on our labor rates. Make sure we're not overpaying people, right? So that's what we would think. We're like, okay, we just got to, guys, we got to make more money. So we got to tighten up and not waste as many materials. And we got to get the job done quicker because time is money. But it don't work out like that. Because when you just tell your people to hurry up and get things done, but you're incentivizing them, paying them by the hour, and you're saying, hey guys, I want you to hurry up and get things done because we can make more money, but they make less because they get it done quicker. They don't get overtime, or they get done an hour or so sooner, so they cut their hours. That means they reduce their income. Well, why would they want to do that? They're incentivized to take longer. Actually, the longer it takes, the more likely they are to get overtime, which they make even more. So we really reward people. When we pay them by the hour, we reward them for taking more time. More time that it takes, the higher our cost of goods goes, which subtracts from our sale. What if they're full-time salary? Well, we're like, hurry up, let's get things done. We got to get this job done so we can make more money. But how does it affect them? If your company makes more money, what does it do for them? They get paid the same whether they perform up here or they perform down there. Most of them perform right around here. They don't want you fussing at them. They have some integrity, and so they feel like they should work hard, but they're not incentivized to perform, at the level that you need them to in order to reduce this. So what happens is you wind up having average profits because you make a sale at the average price because you've got to be competitive, and then you get it done at the average cost of goods because you are hiring the same people that the rest of them are hiring. You're just picking from the same bushel of people. And you're buying materials from the same suppliers roughly. And so your prices are, your cost of goods are average, because you're running an average company, working average people, buying average or paying average prices for your goods. And average people, have average amounts of waste for the materials or their stuff. But if you want to keep more of this, then you've got to have people that are above average. How do you do that? You've got to incentivize them to decrease your cost of goods. Simple. Simple as that. All right, well, how do you do it? We'll get to it. All right. You have the sale, you subtract out your material and labor, and that gives you your gross profit. When I first started, when it was just me and a person or two, I kind of lived off that gross profit. But, okay, we always go back to the big picture, right? Right. I wanted this. I wanted to pursue my dreams. I wanted to discover my mission. I wanted to live my life fully alive. But I was working all the stinking time because it's me and just one or two people. I was making good profits, but my life was just work. That's all I knew, work. I worked all the darn time. I know you know what I'm talking about. You've been there. Maybe you're there now. Your money is good, but you have no freedom. And so something starts happening in your mind. You're like, you almost start resenting your business. You get kind of tired of it. You start getting burned out. But you're making darn good money. You're just not living a good life. Or not the life that you know is out there or you feel is out there for you. So we bring on more people in hopes to get us a little more freedom. Well, as you start bringing on more people, you start incurring overhead. Okay, so if this is material and labor, then this is all the other stuff that subtracts from your sale. You've got this much money, this takes a little bit of it, and now this takes a little bit more. So the next thing is, if you want to keep more money, is to decrease the amount of overhead. Well, how do you do that? Well, what is your overhead? Insurance, workers' comp, general liability, it's your vehicle payments, it's the rent, it's your utilities, it's your printer, your toner, what all these things. Overhead. Things that are needed to run your business, to operate the business, not to get the job done. This is getting the job done. This is running the business money. So you've got to decrease your amount of overhead. How do you do it? Well, you try to save electricity in your office. How do you do that? Well, you regulate the thermostats, put them on timers, whatever. Cut the lights off. The same thing you would do at home to save money. Find better rates on your insurance. For your workers' comp, your general liability, all that. Find better rates on, your printer supplier, whatever these things are. You just got to go through your list of overhead and, just try to save more money. Well, how do you do that? Because, see, you are the business owner, and you're too stinking busy to be trying to price out insurance. You hate it. Maybe you like to negotiate a little bit, but you've got all this stuff going on. You got people calling you all day wanting to know what I do about this or what about that, and you've got to deal with customers sometimes or whatever you're into. When do you have time to call up the insurance company? And you're not going to just be calling up one insurance company. You're going to be calling up dozens of insurance companies if you want to get a better rate. You got to find an agent you like or somebody to represent you, whatever the thing may be. But it takes time to decrease your overhead, and you have to be extremely intentional. But what happened to me was I was, suffering for our money, right? We added all these people, so we added all this overhead. We got a bigger office and all this. And so my expenses went up, my profits went down. And so I started getting like, oh, what? What's going on? Y'all are just wasting so much stuff. And I was coming in and cutting all the lights off and, cutting the air conditioner off. And it was like, y'all are killing me. Leaving the door open, whatever it is. And I was just stressed out to the max. Y'all are paying too much for the gas, or you're letting the trucks idle too long. I mean, I even bought GPS systems so I could see how long our vehicles were idling to see if they were spending too much money in gas because they're sitting there too long. Whatever it was, right? I was just trying to pinch every penny. And I wanted people to help me negotiate rates, like get better, rates on our building materials. But up here, I was paying the guys by the hour. They had no incentive to get it done quicker or to save money on my materials. In my office staff, I was paying them by the hour. Actually, I had a few that were on salary. Same difference. They're still not motivated to save you any money at all. So I would tell my assistant, hey, I need you to shop us some better rates on workers' comp. And she'd give me 2 or 3 things, and maybe find me a little cost savings somewhere. And I'd say, hey, I need you to find us a better price on office supplies. She'd give me a couple things, and I'd review it, and I would tell her what I wanted her to do and tell her what insurance company to go with. But honestly, I knew we weren't getting the best price because she's just giving me a few options. And I was like, how can I get her to get me better rates? How can I trust? How can I have confidence in the fact that she's brought me the very best rates she can find? And I mean, like, she searched to the end of the world to find these rates. How do I do that? Well, if I'm paying her straight salary, she has no reason to do it. She just has to bring me enough better prices to make me feel like she's doing her job and giving an effort. That's it. So I realized that I was always an opponent with my team, whether I paid them by the hour or paid them on salary. We were just opponents. I had to beg and threaten them with their jobs to get them to do better. And, I could get them to get things done a little quicker, but it was always out of fear. And honestly, fear doesn't motivate people to keep doing what's right. It doesn't make them work harder, not for long. I mean, you might get them to do better for a couple days, until the heat dies down on them in a sense. But I needed a group of people that I knew and I had confidence in the fact that they were going to get it done as quick as they could for as little expense as they could. And then I needed to know that they were all trying to pinch every single penny inside the office that they could. How do we do that? It kept being the question. So, you bring in the money, you subtract out the material and labor, it gives you your gross profit. You take your gross profit, you subtract out the cost of doing business, your overhead, and that gives you your net profit. This is your money in the bank. Well, maybe. Maybe it's your money in the bank. It's the money that you could have in the bank if you don't have it tied up in debt. So your profit and loss sheet could say you have a net profit of something, but if you look at your balance sheet, you may not have no money in the bank. You've got to fix that, right? You want to make sure that your net profits are also reflecting in your balance sheet. You don't want to have a whole lot of money owed to you. You want to make sure you've got that money in your bank. Because if you've got a lot of money owed to you, but you don't have it in your hand, it ain't yours. You can't do a darn thing with it. So it's all about how much money can you put in your pocket. Okay, we're going to work on all this. So we have perspective on what these things are. We know that we got to decrease these two in order to keep more of this. Okay. Now, next thing we have is your team. Now, I've already mentioned a few things about your team. If you want more of this, you've got to get them on board so they get it done quicker with less waste of materials, finding better prices, and decreasing your overhead. How do you get your team to do that? That's the problem, right? How do you get these guys to do what they're supposed to do? First thing, mission. They've got to be on board with the mission. So what is the mission? It's not that thing. Remember we talked in the last video, it's not cutting the grass. That's not what it is. You're helping the dad free up his Saturday so that he can go in the backyard with his son and kick the ball in a nice, safe yard where you've cut the grass, it looks all pretty, and you've picked up the sticks. Okay? That's like the value you're adding to his life. You add value, you make more money. So you've got to get your guys tied on with the mission. What are we really about? Well, as far as the customer's concerned, we're trying to make his life better. You know, we're trying to increase the value of his life, add value to him, and that adds value to us or financial gain to us. But what is the mission for them? You know, why do they even care about that? Well, tied to their heart, what if they've got a son or a daughter, they want to go home and play with them? You know, they can understand that guy's desire to not, have to cut the grass all day on Saturday because he really wants to spend time with his family, because it's part of the dream that your team has. You know, your employees have the same dream of having a great family maybe. They can share that dream with their customer. But you've got to also understand the mission of your employees, your team. What is it that they want? They want the same thing that you want and the same thing your customer wants. Pursue their dreams, discover, their mission, why they were put here, and live every moment fully alive. That's what they want. You've got to understand that. See, they want to earn more money in less time so they can have the freedom. You've got to tie your business to their mission, and you've got to tie their mission to your business, and understand that we all want the same thing, and it's up to you to help them reach that. Okay, next thing is gain. For your team, what are they going to gain by helping you save money here and here? If they don't gain more time for themselves, freedom. If they don't gain more money, you won't either. Because if they have nothing to gain, they're not going to give the effort. It's not. So they have got to win and lose by the same measure that you do as the owner. If the company saves money and you earn more, your company gets to keep more, thus you get to keep more, your team has got to be to keep more too. Or they're not going to do it. If they save money on overhead, if your assistant or somebody finds you better rates on insurance, but it does not reflect in her paycheck or in her freedom in any sort of way, she's not going to give it all she's got. She's going to find you something just so you don't fuss at her. That's just the truth about it is. You would be the same way. We do things that make a difference. If it doesn't make a difference for us, we lose sight of it. Okay? So they've got to have a gain as well. How do you do it? We do it through profit sharing. If we have profits, we share them with the people that helped us get those profits. When you start incentivizing your people through their ability to impact the bottom line, they find ways to impact the bottom line. So you've got to give them an opportunity to gain from decreasing these costs. Sometimes when I talk to people about profit sharing, they have this limiting belief. They believe that if they give some of their money to their employees, they'll have less. And that's wrong. That's a limiting belief. It limits you because you won't give it away. Thus, it will limit your profits. Because when you have a team, whether it's 2 of you or 25 of you or 50, when you have that many people looking out for the costs of the company, man, you have that many opportunities to save more money. Now, not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody's even driven by money. Not all of your employees even are driven by money. They're really not. You've got to have the right group, the group that's going to tie together with your mission, what you're doing, what you're all about, tie it to what they want. And you've got to have a group that is driven, not that money is their number one priority, but they understand that money is necessary to fund the freedom for them to have a better life. It's not about being greedy. None of that at all. At all. At all. It's about you sharing with your team so that they can have a better life. In the process, you will make more money. Now, I made When we started implementing a great profit sharing plan that incentivizes people to make this as high as possible, I didn't lose any money, okay? Remember, the first 15 years of my business, I did it my way. I paid them by the hour and paid them salary. And I had years where I was losing money. Remember, the IRS showed up in my place because we were, so broke. Started paying profit sharing. Incentivized people to win by the same measure I won by. They started making significantly more money. Significantly more money. And I did too. And the company did too. It's crazy. I told you that our profits increased over 2,000%. It's not because we increased our sales that much. We didn't increase our prices. But we increased our efficiency like crazy. And we decreased our overhead costs. We actually, had to subtract a few people from our team because they were average, really good workers. Around here, average and below got to go. Because we cannot make above average prices in below average time with average performers. Can't do it. So we have to have people that perform at a rock star level. They've got to be driven. They've got to be driven, get it done quick so they can go home. That's what you want to build your team with. People that are like-minded, like you. Let's get this thing done so we can go home and spend time with our families. Let's don't lollygag around. Let's don't be wasting time and money. Let's don't be wasting materials. Let's get this stuff going so we can go. Because it's all about pursuing the bigger picture. It's not about work. It's about work being a component necessary to give us money so we can support our freedom to enjoy what we want in life. So, what's the plan? How do we start doing this? Well, we have to have an immediate action. Always have to have immediate action, right? What's the first thing we need to do? Well, where's your business? If your cost of goods are too high, if you don't have great margins, and what are great margins? Now, honestly, this is hard to talk about because every industry is different. But the majority of the businesses that I coach have a gross margin, okay? In other words, the sale minus their sweat and materials of somewhere around the 50 to 60% margin. Now, I've coached in many different industries. Landscaping, construction, like fitness centers, and even in my business. In this business here, I do coaching and I know what my profit margins need to be. So no matter what it is, most companies shoot for somewhere in that 50 to 60% margin range after they've subtracted out their sweat materials. But you need to have a target. I don't know what your industry is. You need to kind of figure out what's average and then go to exceed that. So let me give you an example. When I first started this, trying to make this turnaround, our gross profit on my construction company was 38%. We had a 38% average. That was pretty good, or it was about average with the rest of the world, it seemed. All right, we didn't increase our prices, but we got really strategic and got a lot of great people on board. My goal, I was like, man, if we could get that to 45%, I don't know what I would do. I don't know. It'd be like crazy because you're doing millions of dollars of business and you increase it by 7%. Like, man, I was just dreaming about what that was going to look like financially. Here's the thing. That was like a huge goal for me. And I told the team, guys, I don't know if we can do it, but we're going to give it a shot. I put these people, the right people, in the right places. Gave them an incentive. Our average gross profit within 2 years was 58%. It went from 38 to 58. Yeah, absolutely. That's freaking good, man. I was shooting for going to 45. Didn't think we could exceed that. We hit 58% gross margin. Now, that shows you a couple things. One, we were sloppy. We were taking way too much time and wasting too much money on materials. But our overhead was crazy. Our workers' comp rates were ridiculous. My administrative assistant got on top of it, and she started just slicing and dicing, man. She started finding ways to save us money. The lady in our bookkeeping, if you overbill us by 50 cents, she's going to be on the phone chasing you down. Or if you owe us money, they're going to be chasing you down. Now, I also used to have to go and collect checks all the time. I was the one that had to go collect the money. You know, at the beginning of the week, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to have this much to pay payroll. We changed it, got the right people in the right places, gave them an incentive through profit sharing. And since then, that was probably in 2011 when I put that in. Somewhere in there, maybe 2011, about 2011. Do you know that I have not called or chased a customer for money since then? And it used to be like my full-time job. I was just always chasing money. I didn't have to do it anymore because my team did it. Because they knew that if they didn't bring in that money, there were going to be no profits, or profits were going to be lower. If profits are lower, there's lower profits to share. If they're higher, there's higher profits to share. So they were incentivized to make sure the money got in the door. It changes everything, even with the sales team, because see, a sale is not made unless the money's collected. So I had guys that would close deals and the margins would be too low, and we would struggle sometimes to make good money because the estimator or whoever was closing the deal was not incentivized to keep this higher. They were just wanting to close the job and keep us going because they wanted to keep getting their check on Friday. But, okay, let me back up a little bit on that too. We had jobs we didn't get paid for. We would close a deal, we would do a job, and at the end of it, they would owe us money. I mean, sometimes a lot of money. And you know you can't collect that darn stuff. We've gone to court, you know, we put liens on houses, we win, you know, and you don't get squat. So the key is to get your money on every single job. Well, when the people closing the deals were tied to the net profit, we didn't have problems collecting our money anymore. We started getting our money up front. Wasn't none of this waiting until the end to pay us. Heck no. We're going to take that risk. We started selecting our customers differently. Instead of them interviewing us to see if they wanted us to do the work, we flipped that thing around. They would call us. We kind of interviewed them. We want to make sure that we wanted to work with them. We want to make sure they weren't going to cause problems in our group. We don't want the headaches anymore. And we want to make sure they're going to pay us and pay us quick. You know, fast pay makes fast friends. Well, that's how we do. It changed everything because now everybody was on board with trying to make this as high as they could. We developed a true team that won together and lost together. If we lost on a job, everybody felt that pain. If we overpaid on something, everybody felt that pain. It's how it is today. I don't worry about how my guys are estimating jobs. I don't worry about how they purchase materials anymore. I don't worry about how much we're paying for our insurance because I've got all kinds of eyeballs looking at it. I mean, everybody in my company looks at it. Now, we have a pretty open system, so people can basically look at stuff. And they can look at the numbers and see what we're doing. I let them know. You know, I keep them exposed because if I don't trust them enough to teach them, to show them the numbers, I don't trust them enough to put them on my darn team either. These got to be people that are great with their money. You know, so part of our hiring process, man, we go through all this. We got to make sure they're great with their money because if they're not great with their money, they ain't gonna be good with your money either. You know, all that kind of stuff. So when you get ready to build your team, when I say this is your lifeline, dead honest with you, man, it's your lifeline. So what is your immediate action? Sorry to get off on that. If you're paying too much here, well, you've got to figure out a way to incentivize your people to do better, to get more done in less time. If you're paying them by the hour, you are fighting a losing battle. You forget it. About the only way you can decrease this is to cut their pay. And if you do that, they're walking out on you. So if you're paying by the hour, if you're paying a straight salary, and there's no incentive for them to decrease the cost, they ain't going to decrease the cost. Okay? Just understand that. Giving them an incentive to get it done quicker. How you going to get them to do this? Give them an incentive. Got to. Treat your team members like they're partners. Now, don't make partnerships. Okay? Don't do that. But treat your team members like they're truly partners. Let them know what's going on. Let them know the struggles you're facing as a business. Let them know the vision. And let them share in this. And your stress level will drop like crazy. Your freedom will go up and your money will go up. Promise you. Immediate action. If you already have a way to incentivize them, you know, if say you pay them commission on a job, that's great. But if you pay them commission on the job, like on the gross profit of a job, be careful. See, we tie our profit sharing at the bottom, because if they're making the jobs get done quickly, but they're eating up the overhead, if they're wasting money somewhere inside the office, then they're making more money, but I'm not. I'm paying it out somewhere else. Everybody is tied to the bottom line around here. True profits, because for me, the owner, this don't do me a darn bit of good. This is what I'm shooting for. I want how much money is left over at the end when all the bills are paid. So everybody on my team, they get their incentive off the very bottom line. Changes it. You don't want to incentivize them just here off this gross profit. You want to make sure that every factor that affects the business's profits, every factor that affects your personal money needs to affect them in the exact same way. Now, I have a profit sharing system that I developed, and look, this thing is awesome. I have worked on it. It took me 6 years to get that thing right, and we ran millions and millions of dollars through it, and it works. It'll work for any industry. It's awesome. You would love it. Immediate action. Incentivize them. Something in here. Maybe you need to get a different team, because if you have the wrong team, they ain't going to do this stuff. Maybe you need to cast a vision for your team. Help them understand how to tie their mission to a bigger picture. Help them to understand it. A lot of people don't even know this. Man, like I said, they're just struggling to make life happen. Help them to tie it to the big picture. And don't be scared to have to fire people. Let people go. You've got to get the best players on your team. Don't be scared to take on less work while you're getting this right. We decreased our staff tremendously. We decreased our sales by over $1 million, but our profits increased. Yeah, because we were so much more efficient. We got so much more done in less time. We did $1 million less volume and made more money. That means less headache, less liability. I mean, if you're doing less work, you have less warranties and less hassle and all this stuff. Now, I'm not saying we're going to stay down there. You don't want to stay at the bottom. But don't be scared to decrease your amount of sales. Because think about it. Now, I told you we had a 38% gross margin, and we bumped that to a 58% gross margin. How much less work can you afford to do when your margin increased by 20%? Do the math on that. How much less work could you afford to do if your margins were so much better? You will see that it can change everything. Our margins increase so much that we could do $1 million less business and make more money. That is an ingredient, man, for a wonderful life. I get this. I get what I want now because we changed everything. After you figure out what your immediate action is, what is your 3-month action? If you're going to implement a profit sharing system, then first of all, unless you have a system already set up, like the one we've got, understand it's going to take you some time. You've got to run a lot through it. You've got to experiment with this thing. You've got to trial and error this. You've got to run a lot of money through it, and it takes time because we do ours monthly. Each month is when profit sharing goes out. But it takes a lot of months to run this thing through. So maybe your goal is to establish something and get something going in 3 months if it's profit sharing. Maybe in 3 months you want to have people transitioned over from being paid by the hour to being paid on a salary with profit sharing incentives. Something. You got to figure out what this thing is. And what's your 6-month goal? Maybe it's to have, found lower workers' comp rates. Whatever it is. Decide what it is and start putting these things into action. Without your money, without profits, you're killing yourself for nothing. So profits are obviously necessary, and you can make great profits. I don't care what your industry is, you really can. If you're supplying something, if you're supplying a service or a product that enhances somebody's quality of life, you can make more money. All right, it's all about having a better life. Now, I hope you have gotten a lot out of this. I hope this serves you well. I hope you understand your money in a different perspective now. And I hope that you just really focus on how you can make more in less time. Until I see you in the next video, I want you to discover your dreams. Discover your mission, what your true mission really is in life, and live every single moment fully alive. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great